Hello, everyone. I'm just going to give it a few seconds to populate some viewers. Let's see. Oh, good. I can see the watch counter now, so I know if people are here. Well, hello, viewer number one. I am just giving it a minute or two before we dive into this. That way, no one's left out off the bat. But let's see. Pulling up the chat on my phone too. This is so weird. Yes, of course there's two people watching. One's me. But okay, let's do this. Well, the Flames won. They're still alive, but they are no means out of the woods just yet. There's still some math that has to go heavily in their favor, and I will be interested to see if they make that happen. We're going to talk about that on Locked On Flames.
You're Locked On Flames, your daily podcast on the Calgary Flames. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for hanging out. I know it's kind of late. Well, I guess not really if you're in Mountain Time, but if you're here on the East Coast, it's about 10:35. But that's not going to stop us. We've done this before. We've seen 10:30 puck drops this season. We do have to obviously talk about just the performance tonight. I thought that the Flames they looked a little rough in the first period. I think that both teams were trying to gauge each other's energy and figure things out. And obviously, Rasmus Anderson going into the boards on that awkward, quite literally a collision. I don't think it was an intentional dirty hit or anything like that. It just kind of set the tone for the game. And karma is something that doesn't miss. And if you're booing a player that went into the boards the way Anderson did and then stayed down and took a while to get up. I don't know. I feel like it doesn't work. It doesn't work out too great for you. But what a performance by Jacob Markstrom. Can we talk about that for a second? I have the chat up on my phone, so if you want to drop in, feel free to chime in. But I do have to say that Markstrom obviously played out of his mind tonight. I thought that he just I don't know if this was statistically one of his best performances, but based on the eye test and the shots that he faced, I would say that he looked he definitely saved more shots than I think he would have. There were higher danger shots. I don't know. He didn't let in any softies, and he only let in one. Okay, that's truly what I'm trying to say. But I think one of the interesting things about this is truly you never know which Jacob Markstrom you're getting. And that's frustrating because, of course, you can say, oh, he started 18 of the last 19 games. He's going to be tired. And, you saw the performance in Chicago last night. So setting him up to fail or putting him in net sets him up to fail. And then, you're questioning Daryl Sutter, but you have the performance that you have, or he has the performance that he has. And I just unreal. I suddenly had no doubts. Okay, I feel like I'm pulling up the box score here. Sorry. But this is the first time in a while I feel like the Flames have like equally matched, or an opponent has equally matched their shots on goal, 35 apiece. The Flames going 0 for 6 on their power play is just another example of why this team doesn't deserve to be in the playoffs. And I believe that's one of the reasons I discredited them and said they weren't making the playoffs back in February when Nick and I did that debate. But it's just power plays, and special teams can get streaky and whatnot. But to go 0 for 6 in a game where like your season's pretty much on the line, it feels a little bit more unacceptable than usual. You know, I feel like we've seen the struggles of the power play more often than not in these recent weeks. But I'm very much okay with them winning how they won tonight. This doesn't mean, obviously, hello everyone that has joined us, but I don't think that this like discredits their performance or anything like that. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. But they're not in the playoffs yet. Math still has to go their way. And I don't know about you, but the Flames are not a team where things go their way when we need it to. And that is just one of the unfortunate things about the Flames season. We've seen it time and time again, and we have had to kind of deal with it and suck it up. But I'm not going to sit here and just write off this performance. I don't know. It's another example of their resiliency, of their just Calgary Flames hockey and the experience that they have provided us. There were definitely some questionable moments there, especially Lucic in the second. No, I think it was towards the tail end of the first period when he high-sticked one of the Jets players, and it ended up being a double minor. That was bad. That was bad. And it was obviously an accident, but you have to have control of your stick. You've been doing this long enough to know how to handle yourself and to handle your stick. Definitely some probing questions in the Markstrom post-game interview. Yeah, so I'm going to have to watch those after. I know I'll have like a real episode up tomorrow at some point, probably later tomorrow evening, just because of my schedule. But it's one of those things where you can dissect and read into it however much you want. Now I remember what I was going to say. The Flames essentially had a back-to-back power play. Pretty much they got off the power play, and then the Jets immediately committed an ice crime, and they were back to the man advantage, and they couldn't generate anything there. And that was early enough on in the game where I was concerned. I said, if this is how they're going to play against a team that is very similar to them in terms of not a very trusted coach, not a good power play, just being the way they're in the position they're in for a reason, right? Like, they were both fighting for wild card spots tonight, but at some points in the game you couldn't tell. Like, there was no difference. This looked like another, I guess, like middle of January game, just a meaningless game of hockey at some points, and it was a little frustrating. But yeah, definitely keep sounding off in the comments there. I appreciate it. But I guess, where do they go from here? They still have a few games left, right? They've still got let me pull up my calendar here. They have 2 days off, thankfully, and they play is this the San Jose game? Oh no, so they go to Vancouver and then they're off on Easter or Sunday. And then they are back home against the Preds and they close out their season a week from today against the Sharks at home. Their schedule could not get any easier. I would say, throw a game against Chicago and another game against Chicago in there too. And, you'd really be set. But this team lost 3 games, the season series, to Chicago, which I know that they do like Calgary Flames, like beer. They need to do like Calgary Flames Excedrin or Tylenol or something, because this team is just a constant headache. And this is one of the things about being a sports fan, right? But anyways, back to the schedule. Sorry, I'm going all over the place here. We've talked about it on the show before. And if you're new here or, you haven't caught up on the episodes, Nick broke it down saying months ago that the Flames had the easiest second half of the schedule out of the whole NHL. And then they were also, obviously they only have 3 games left, and these should be a cakewalk. But they're not going to be, because the Calgary Flames don't make anything a cakewalk. It's hard to do that when your team is old, or not necessarily old. Like, I hate saying these players are old, but they're, in hockey terms, they're not exactly spring chickens, and it's kind of hard to sit here and justify Huberdeau's, giant contract for next season when he had such a significant drop off in points this year. But we are going to take a quick break here, and I'm going to tell you about something that I think some of these hockey coaches could be benefiting from, and that is Indeed. Indeed matching is something that hiring people can use, bosses can use, the candidates to bring on some great matching candidates. Indeed invites you to apply through their instant match, which are 3 times more likely to apply to your job than regular candidates who only see it in their search, according to US Indeed data. But Indeed knows when you're growing your business, you have to make every dollar count, and that's why with Indeed, you only pay for quality applications that match your must-have requirements. Now, if I was putting an application out there for Calgary Flames head coach, I would say must try to integrate the youth. Make a solid effort to integrate the youth. You think that would get out there? You think that would have some quality matches? But all you have to do is visit Indeed.com/lockedon to start hiring now. Just go to Indeed.com/lockedon, and that is Indeed.com/lockedon. Terms and conditions apply. Cost per application. Pricing not available for everyone. Need to hire? You need Indeed. So again, thanks everyone for sticking around this evening. If you have questions or want to sound off on like your own reactions, definitely do that. I have the comments being fed to me. But I don't know if this team believes in themselves. I think last year they were able to buy into this underdog mentality a lot easier because of the way that they were producing. It's very it's a lot easier to believe in yourself when things are going in your favor and you're not down on your luck, right? Like, of course, a player or a team with 3 40 goal scorers on their top line are going to believe in themselves and they're going to go out there and give it their all every night. Last night, I think, it was said perfectly. They were all pretty much worried and focused about the game against the Jets. And you can't do that. It has to be one game at a time. Granted that they maybe save some energy to carry over into this game. I don't know. Didn't really show up until, 10 minutes into the first period. But I expected more out of tonight. More so out of the Jets than anything, I would say, just because they were also, I thought they would put up a fight. I truly thought that there would be some sort of competitiveness. They tried with their physicality. I mean, I don't know how much more you can kind of give than that when, your goalie was giving his best effort. But, I felt like every time came back from commercial or grabbed a snack, got some water, PLD was back in the in the penalty box. Like there wasn't they weren't acting like this was an important game. And I think that that's kind of where the mentality differs for the Flames versus this Jets team. I think, like I said, the Flames might not be buying into themselves as much as they could be, or listen, if I've gaslit myself and believed that this team could beat the Jets and potentially go and make it into the postseason, anything is possible. Like anyone can believe in themselves. And I expected more. The Flames don't have a fire underneath them. They don't. And I'm sorry if I'm like rambling and going in circles here, but it was hard to watch this game at some points because I didn't think that either team really wanted it. It felt like, things got physical there in the second, but it wasn't enough. It wasn't, the momentum changer happened 2 minutes into it when poor Rasmus Anderson went into the boards and kids getting booed every time the puck touches his stick. And it's like, he didn't do anything. And I don't think PLD did either. I think it was just truly like, like when you're walking by your siblings and like when you're younger and they kind of like, I'm not saying Rasmus Anderson like was dramatic about it, but like your sibling like flails and they're like, oh my God, mom, like I'm so hurt. I think it was like kind of that. Like I think he was trying to sell it a little bit, but he also, I don't think Rasmus Anderson in this situation is a player to want to concern his teammates. I think that he is someone that would prefer to just go on and play the game, which he did. But I'm very perplexed about this team and how they're going to move forward. And I know we say one game at a time here, but I mean, that game's done. Mangiapane scored. He got his late birthday gift to himself. Walker Dewar, we thought it was a Trevor Lewis goal. It ended up being just a wraparound goal from Walker Dewar. Matthew Tkachuk is shaking. And then Nikita Zadorov at the end of the third, or I guess really the halfway point of the third period. But did anyone else feel a little nervous when the Jets went up 1-0 and then the Flames goal got called back? Like I was kind of worried that was going to be maybe the momentum changer, just because, again, you're getting something and then it's being taken away from you, and you're earning something and it's taken away from you. Although it was kind of a silly little move there by Nick Ritchie. I don't know. I'm very interested to see everyone's post-game thoughts and just kind of, the players' mentality on things and, how did they rally? What was that first intermission speech like? Who stepped up and said, it's do or die? Who stepped up, you know? I also thought that Kadri looked very bad. I think the game against Chicago with that god-awful giveaway, also really, I don't know, I feel like that can mess with your confidence because, again, if it comes down to 2 points that you need, to make the postseason, and the first thing everyone's going to jump to is that giveaway. Because it was just such like a lackluster, like, I don't care. I just want to get out of here. I don't want to do it. But like there was just like, go girl, give us nothing energy. And I know that he talked about the ice condition not being great, and it happens. Oh, there's a comment section right here too. Okay, I see it now. But what is, like, I really expected this team to turn a corner months ago, and they didn't. And by the time they're like rounding this corner, there aren't enough games left for them to make up for that lost ground, right? It's just a very frustrating situation. And I think, everyone has a right to be frustrated. I think the players have a right to be frustrated. I don't want to hear it from Daryl Sutter because this is his mess. A lot of this is his mess. That's a whole nother episode. Don't worry. We will be doing plenty of dissections of the regular season and kind of, more in-depth analysis whenever this season comes to an end. It's not over yet. Don't worry, I had a whole different episode planned if it ended tonight. So, I think that this is just one of those, the season's effectively over, right? Like, based on their performance these last 2 games, does this team deserve to make the playoffs? No, they don't. I thought that they looked horrendous against Chicago, and Winnipeg made them look fast. You're not going to get that against playoff teams. You're not going to have, I don't even know who they play in the first round right now. My mind is blanking, but, you're just not going to have those sorts of advantages in the postseason. You're not going to get them. Winnipeg is probably, they've been off since Sunday, and they did put on a clinic for the Devils. But it's just so frustrating. And you just sit there and you wonder, why did it take this long? What changed? What switch went off? And I think a lot of it does play. I think, like, if you look at, there's literally a graph. I wish I saved it when I saw it, but based on Sutter's comments around Pelletier's debut versus like the Flames like playoff odds after that, and it is just straight down in Flames. That's unintentional pun there, but sometimes. But I think at the same time, Jacob Pelletier has been such a good sport. He hasn't played since I had to witness that 8-2 massacre in person. But I got to meet John Legend that night. So like I think I win a little something there. But no, we're going to dive more into depth about this on tomorrow's show, and I think on Friday Nick and I are going to do an episode as well. It's a lot easier to do these things when you have someone to have a conversation to and you're not just staring at yourself in the camera. But thanks everyone for hanging out with me. I know it's late, the middle of the week. Who on earth thought that they would have won tonight? Not me. And I can usually gaslight myself into believing anything, right? So thanks everyone for hanging out with me tonight on our live. I will see you, I guess, technically tomorrow, because like I said, I will have a more thought out episode going live there. But thanks again, and I'll see you soon.